On a pitch-black night, 3 college students sat chatting by a lake deep inside a cave. Meanwhile, at the entrance of an underwater passage at the bottom of that very lake, their companion was fighting for his life. He was wedged in a narrow, twisting bend, unable to move forward or backward. The surrounding water was entirely choked with silt, reducing visibility to zero. Realizing his air supply was rapidly running out, he was plunged into immense panic. The scene just described is one of the most classic and suffocating diving accidents in American cave diving history. The Clarksville Cave incident. Located in Albany County, New York, Clarksville Cave is the most famous and frequently visited natural cave in the northeastern United States. It is a limestone cave consisting of several large rooms and a series of passages. Most passages can be walked through, some require crawling, and certain areas can be completely submerged. The cave has a total length of about 1,463 meters and is mostly horizontal, filled with stalactites, stalagmites, and flowstones. The cave is divided into 3 main sections: the Gregory section, the Ward section, and the Shohari section, each corresponding to an entrance. The setting for our story is at the northernmost end of the Shohari section, which is also the terminus of the entire cave system. There used to be a northern entrance, but it was later filled and sealed by the landowner. The passage at the bottom of this northern section is permanently flooded. To continue exploring northward, one must dive through a hole at the bottom of the lake room, about 1 meter wide and 0.5 meters high, into a tunnel known as the Glass Corridor, swimming for over 60 meters to reach the other side. 4 students from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute heard that someone had previously navigated this passage and discovered a new section of the cave, so they decided to try it themselves. The protagonist of our story, Robert Swenson, was a 24-year-old computer science graduate student with no diving certification. The other 3 also lacked any cave diving certifications. Only 2 of them had open water diving qualifications, and those for less than a year. The group had entered Clarksville Cave multiple times before and discovered that the entrance from the lake room to the Glass Corridor was blocked by fallen rocks. To swim through, they had to clear the debris first. On February 26, 2001, the 4 arrived at the Ward entrance. Believing the lake room was only about 3 meters deep, and since they didn't plan to cross the Glass Corridor that day, they brought minimal gear. They each had only a small pony bottle strapped to their leg, a simple regulator, a wetsuit, a mask, and a flashlight strapped to their forearm. They had no backup lighting, no guidelines, no buoyancy control devices, and no standard dual-tank cave diving setups. Around 7:30 p.m., they entered the cave. They walked through Perry Avenue, the most spacious passage in the cave, where one can almost walk upright. Reaching the area below the north entrance, the passage narrowed, leading to the northernmost end, the flashlight room. Most cavers turned back here, but the 4 pushed on. After navigating a winding, narrow crawl, they finally reached their destination, the lake room. The lake room is small, with the water about 3 meters deep and a chilling temperature of roughly 4 degrees Celsius. The group geared up. Michael, who had no diving experience, stayed on the shore, while the other 3 took turns going underwater. Although Swenson had no formal certification, he had done a lot of unofficial diving and had some rudimentary cave diving experience, so he joined the underwater clearing efforts. Initially, everything went smoothly. They repeatedly dove to the bottom to move rocks and clear silt. However, problems soon arose. The cave floor was covered in thick sediment. The slightest movement stirred it up, turning the water into a muddy soup and rendering their flashlights virtually useless. Without a guideline, they had to rely entirely on memory and touch to move the rocks. After multiple descents, their air supplies were running dangerously low. One had 1/7 left, another 3/5, and Swenson was down to 1/3. According to the rule of thirds in cave diving, hitting the 1/3 mark means a diver should absolutely not proceed. Yet Swenson made a spur-of-the-moment decision. He wanted to go down one last time to see if the passage entrance had been completely cleared. Despite his friend's warnings, he insisted, perhaps thinking it was just a shallow 3-meter pond. His companions eventually stopped trying to talk him out of it. Swenson quickly reached the bottom. Visibility was still non-existent, so he felt his way forward inch by inch. Without realizing it, he swam too deep, and half his body entered the Glass Corridor. After a while, noticing his air was nearly depleted, he decided to back out. Tragically, this specific spot was shaped like a funnel or a wedge, easy to squeeze into, but incredibly difficult to reverse out of. Swenson's hips and air tank got hopelessly wedged against the rock. To make matters worse, the narrow space was on a bend, making it impossible for him to unbuckle and remove his tank. He was completely trapped. Watching his air supply dwindle, panic set in. Meanwhile, his 3 friends on the shore were casually chatting, oblivious to the nightmare unfolding below. They never imagined Swenson would recklessly push into the deeper tunnel. Slowly, however, they realized something was wrong. There were no bubbles breaking the surface. Allison decided to go in and check. Upon submerging, she found the water completely opaque. Feeling around the opening with her hands, she suddenly touched a foot. Upon closer inspection, she realized it was Swenson's. Knowing something was terribly wrong, she pulled with all her might. At first, she made progress, pulling him out about 30 centimeters. But then, the rocks clamped down on him like a vice. Running out of air herself, Allison was forced to surface and deliver the grim news. Next, Badger dove in. He had more air left, about 3/5 of a tank, but he too was entirely unable to budge Swenson. Defeated, Badger returned to the shore, stripped off his gear, and rushed out of the cave to get help. After he left, a frantic Allison dove in again. She pushed Badger's air tank as close to Swenson's hands as possible, hoping he could use it to buy more time. Holding her breath, Allison dove down again and again, desperately trying to pull him free. But with each attempt, the water grew thicker. She later described the environment as crawling into an underground drain pipe filled with black mud. After more than 10 minutes, Swenson still hadn't emerged. His foot had long since stopped moving. Badger's tank remained untouched in the exact spot Allison had left it. It was then she finally accepted the horrifying reality. Swenson had stopped breathing. Around 9 p.m., Badger reached the cave entrance and called the police. Due to the extensive logistical preparations required, rescuers didn't arrive for another 3 hours. Despite trying various methods, they too were unable to pull Swenson out. The rescue team had no choice but to excavate the sealed northern entrance and route a pipe in to pump the water out. 2 days later, the lake room was completely drained, exposing the hole and Swenson's foot. It took another full day of chiseling the surrounding rock before his body was finally recovered at 7 p.m. on March 1st. An examination confirmed the tragic but obvious cause of death: asphyxiation after running out of air. The accident report cited 4 main reasons why he got stuck. The passage was excessively narrow. The tunnel had a sharp bend. Loose rocks may have shifted and pinned him. It appeared Swenson had attempted to turn around, an impossible maneuver in such a tight curve. To prevent a similar tragedy, authorities resealed the north entrance and filled the lake room with a massive amount of rocks. Today, the water in the lake room is only about a meter deep, making it impossible for casual divers to dig out the passage again. The tragic story of Robert Swenson is still frequently discussed in American cave diving courses today. It serves as a haunting reminder to all who follow. In a cave, the real danger is rarely what you can clearly see. It is the moments when you falsely believe you still have the chance to turn back. Thank you for reading today's story, and see you next time.